Hey everyone, Greg here. As you may know by now, I'm the co-founder and CEO of TripShock, an online reseller for water sports and tours. For the past 12 years, we've had the pleasure of working with hundreds of operators across the country, and we're looking to grow our community. It's free to sign up, and you only pay when we bring you confirmed bookings. We'll help you reach new customers, fill empty seats, and grow your business like so many have done with us over the years. Head over to partners.tripshock.com to learn more about our program, read testimonials, or speak directly with our supply team. As always, thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Spend a lot in paid. We put a lot of effort into paid. When Google redoes their algorithms and we lose ranking on some of our big keywords, I mean, even some keywords that were ranked number 1 and 2, we're still halfway down the page because you have the local business cards, you have the featured snippets, you have the ads. And by the time anyone gets down to the organic, it's almost, you're not getting, the 10, the 20% click through. You're getting 5% or less. There's some keywords that we are number 1 on Google and we only have like a 6% click through rate. We're number 1 because all that other crap is on top of it. The paid ads, the local business, the featured snippets. So we still put a lot of emphasis on organic. It's still roughly like 40% of our traffic. So it's a good bit of our business, but I like paid because it's something that I can control a little bit more.
They come to relax, enjoy the beach, have fun, and spend money. And that's where we come in. This is the Awkward Watersport Guys podcast. Find out tips on the best ways to market and operate a water sports business. If you're a water sports operator, you need to grow your brand, operate more safely, upgrade your operations, and of course, increase bookings. We're industry veterans, broadcasting from Destin, Florida. This is the Awkward Watersport Guys podcast. And this is Kevin O'Neill and Greg Fisher.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Awkward Watersports Guide podcast. This is episode numero 7, and I have Kevin O'Neill. Kevin, how are you doing today, my friend?
Man, wonderful.
Yeah, Kevin and I are excited because I went to Disney last week, and now he is going to Disney next week.
Yes.
And if you are going to go to Disney, this is the time to go to Disney because there's nobody there. And it was one of the best experiences I've had. And I've been to Disney a few times. The mask didn't even bother me. So, Kevin, you're going to have a hell of a time.
I'm excited. I'm like a Disney connoisseur, man. I spend time on like Disney message boards. I like mix it up with like the moms that have like the Disney stickers on the back. I'm deep into it, man. I've thought about it as like a secondary business, man. I'll open up like, Kevin's trip tips, Disney trip tips. I love it, man. I read the guides. Farmer's Guide to Disney.
I did. There's tons of YouTube videos, and I probably watched 30 of them just to make sure that I got, because there's a lot of changes to Disney with the COVID and whatnot. So I made sure that we were prepared. So the best tip I got was to bring lots of extra masks.
Is that what you learned this week?
No, not quite. No,
what we learned this week?
No, not yet. But
wait, I want to know this tip though. We might have to edit this out because we didn't want to like slim it down.
Oh yeah,
You're gonna say something like.
Oh, okay. So just my one tip, because it's so damn hot.
Oh, and they get like wet.
Oh, they get wet and nasty. Yeah. So just bring a whole bunch of them and bring the nice breathable. You have to have 2-ply masks, but bring the ones that are like the easy breathable ones and not the heavy cotton.
So we've got like
you got all that. So that's my biggest.
I've been thinking about like putting slits in. So I can breathe. Like I hate it, dude. Like I do like weird things. Like I wear the buff. Like I don't wear the mask. Like I wear my neck buff. I'm like one of those guys. And I know you can't wear those. You have the ear loop one. But so I do this real nasty thing, dude. It's so gross. But like when I'm in the grocery store, right? You can't open the damn bags to get the fruit in with a dry finger. So when COVID started, I didn't want to touch the bag and then lick my finger and then to open the bag. You know what I mean? So now it's gotten all this like spit on it a little bit and wet it and then put my fingers on the mask so I don't have to touch my mouth to the bag. Like it's a barrier. You're looking at me like it's the most disgusting thing.
So you're telling me that you've been the super spreader in Northwest Florida the entire time?
But no, it's my bag. Like I spit in the thing, and then it's my bag that I put the fruit in. But I don't want to touch the bag and lick my fingers after I touch the bag. The mask is the barrier. It's keeping me safe from COVID. Okay. But then I got like a weird wet spot, and I don't want anyone to see that. I got to like turn it to the side. There's a lot of weird things you don't know about. Well, how do you open the bag then, Greg?
Well, I just keep rubbing my fingers together until I get enough friction, and then I can do it. You got to just rub your fingers real hard, and then you'll get it.
There's a joke in there somewhere. I'm going to leave it alone, man.
Okay, we're just going to leave that there.
All right,
but
there we go.
We are going to talk about paid versus organic or SEO traffic, and why you might want to put more emphasis on one or the other. So this is quite a loaded question. We probably can go 5 hours or several days with this because there's a lot of arguments to make here. But we're just going to break down some of the reasons maybe Kevin and I have, and they're probably going to be somewhat different. But that's good because you have to know what's good for your business and what you can afford, because not everyone has a few $1 million marketing budget. So this is, we'll try to cover all kind of spectrums. So I guess we can jump right in. Kevin, this was your topic, so I'll let you start the train here.
ROI. And for those who don't know, that's return on investment. And one thing that I get from when I talk to a lot of operators, man, they're just never in the know on their marketing. Like, not even as far as like new marketing ideas and cutting edge or whatever, or like market trends. But literally, what their percentage of their gross is going for their marketing budget. Like, I mean, I know some operators like that make a lot of money that can't go, boom, 10% acquisition. Mm-hmm. And then, what are you paying commissions? 20%, 30%. Okay, what's the average? You don't know. How do you not know that? How do you not know what you're paying to acquire a customer? And I find that really illuminating. It was like the first thing when I started Destiny was that I was like, what's it going to cost me to get a customer? Because I can find, there could be some guy out on the street that's got a welcome visitor center and, they charge 30% from people that walk in. Like I just had a guy call me up the other day and was like talking about traffic and his numbers and, it was something like directory. It was like some real old school shit, man.
Was it Destined Direct?
Like, yeah.
Okay. We'll have a conversation off the air about that one.
Yeah, because he was not taking no for an answer. I'm like, dude, honestly, I probably have better DA than you do. You know what I mean? Like seriously, I'll charge you to be on my website for a backlink. But yeah, I think it's something that especially operators that are twisting their own wrenches. They just like, when you say marketing and advertising to them, their eyes just like gloss over. They're just like, oh God, like, no, I'm not going to spend any money on that. Or, oh, what? How much percent? This? No, even when you're talking about like direct marketing or hiring a marketing agency. Mm-hmm. So I think, for the casual listener, you have to get a number and put that in your head. So it's something that when I talk to people about, Or just not just to get a number in your head, but understand your cost. Right. Absolutely.
If you rent a jet ski for $100 an hour, know what your profit margin is on it, and then go from there on what you want to advertise.
Well, most people do it backwards, Greg. Most of our operators do it backwards. So they start with their number and then they don't create, they don't go, okay, I'm going to spend X for this, X for that, X for this. And now I want my profit margin to be that. And that's going to determine my price. They go, well, what's everybody else charging? And then they work backwards, which the logic is just ridiculous. Yeah. Because I started looking at things like, I started looking at combos and the reduced jet ski price. And at the end of the day, I was like, I'm not making any money on this. This is stupid. Like, I just looked at what the market was charging. And I'm like, the market's wrong. And that's why some of the operators here have to have 50 jet skis to make any money, because the profit margin on it just sucks. And then when you start doing combos, when you put together a boat and a jet ski and you're cutting them a deal, well, where's that coming from? That's all coming from your bottom line. And on the end of that, especially with the jet skis, so that was another reason why.
And I'm not expecting everyone to be as obsessive as I did, but I had like this massive spreadsheet, and I broke my hourly cost, got my profit margins, but I added labor, fuel, insurance. I broke the insurance out, like amortized it over a year. I mean, I literally got it 3 days ago. Got it down to exactly what the real profit margin is. And I'm like, okay, so I make, $70. I had $100 now. I might make $70 in profit. Then I go from there, like what from that, I do a forecast. And then I said, okay, well, this is how much money that I'm going to spend in marketing. Maybe typically you businesses say 10 to 20% in marketing. Yeah. So then that's how I came up with my marketing budget. So I came up with marketing based on what my projected profit margins are. And if you do that, then you will feel more comfortable. I mean, you can have a range. If let's say 10 to 20%, well, you can give yourself some wiggle room in case there's a really great opportunity that comes mid-year that you want to spend. But as long as you stay within that area, then you know what you can afford. Because if you just start spending willy-nilly without understanding what your profit margins are, you're going to come out of the year not making any money. I mean, there's some times where even on Trip Shock, we spend at least $2.5 million a year on marketing. I will just, if we're past our budget for the day, I'll just shut things down. I mean, when it comes to spending money, I'm not just going to spend money just because I know maybe we can get a few more bookings. Like I already know like what our profit margins are going to be for the week or the day. And once we overspent that, I shut it down because I know where we need to be. I already forecasted it and whatnot. And yeah, you might be leaving some business on the table. That's what makes a good and great marketer, figuring that out. But you have to know what you're going to make because marketing is like a black hole. You can spend so much money and then come out with nothing.
Yeah. But I also think, and depending on what market you're in, I mean, man, you can crush it and depending on where you're at. Yeah. So it's like and I know like I wonder if when you say that, like you just throw it, it's like a black hole, but like Google, like especially if you don't know what you're doing, like Google ads can get.
There's so many trapdoors in Google ads.
Wildly out of control, especially if you let them handle it for you. Yeah. If you're not, and we, we can talk about Google ads, like automated versus manual bidding strategies another time. But at the same point in time, I talked to so many operators that were like, I'm just going to try Google ads. And then you just let them do everything. They figure out, let them choose your keywords. And you're just like, keyword, 0 negative keywords. And then you run this ad and then just like you powered through like $400 and then that was your budget for the month. And you're like, I didn't get a single booking, or I've only got one and it's barely paid for itself. I'm never using Google ads again. Like I've heard people poo-poo Google ads before and I'm just like, I've been that guy.
So we just talked about making sure that you know your profit margins. If you need to get an accountant involved or a buddy that's been in the business,
I think that's. I hate to interject and I hate to stop you, but I think like you need to just even back up, and you're going to love this. You're going to be very happy to hear this, and I would too if I ran an OTA. You know how many of these guys just don't want to deal with it, and they're just like, "Oh, we'll just let Trip Shock do it, or we'll let TripAdvisor do it. I'm good." Mm-hmm. And to me, and no offense, but I'm like, man, now there's some things that I don't do myself when it comes to, I have a mechanic or whatever, but there's some things where I'm like, I'm going to know about this. I'm going to learn about this. I might not, and I don't do my do my PPC, my SEO. I don't do any of that stuff. We have market managers for all that shit. And I'm a relatively small company. I mean, definitely compared to Trip Shock, but a lot of these guys they're like, somebody says something to them, like throws a number at them, they get sticker shock, and then they're like, "Nope, I'm out of here." It blows my mind how, and I know big companies that still operate this way with commissions and OTAs. They have no problem as long as the money comes up front and they pay the commission later. It's guaranteed. But when it's like when you're paying a marketer or you're even Google as an advertising platform or social, and you don't really know what you're doing, you're just like, no, I'm not putting that, because you got to put up the money up front. Mm-hmm. Maybe take some cuts and bruises on that, and then learn, and then start getting some sales from it. And obviously, like, you're doing the same thing that I'm doing, but the difference is just you're in between me and Google, or you're in between me and organic traffic. And we're kind of like, kind of competing for the same traffic. But at the same point in time, since we are competing, my ad triggers and your ad triggers, and then I get some of that. So at the end of the day, if I'm like between 9 and 10% acquisition over here and 20% with you, and it falls down the middle in between 12 and 15%, well, then that's a home run versus going, back down South Florida, they'll pay 30%. They're paying 30%. And there's some people over in Europe that are paying 30 and 40% to OTAs and then there's unscrupulous marketers that you're getting zero ROI from or whatever. They're charging you $1,000 a month, and maybe 300 of that is your budget or your ad spend, and 700 of that is going into their management fees.
Yeah. And a lot of times you bring a good point. Like, you hire someone to handle a lot of your stuff. Sometimes when I talk to business owners, they don't take the money they're spending on the professional to manage their accounts or doing their SEO. They don't look at that as part of an advertising cost. They don't, or maybe their accountant doesn't put it into that column. They maybe put it into contract labor or whatnot, but it really needs to go into advertising.
I was going to say the same thing about commissions.
Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing about commissions. When I take commissions, I take ad spend, and I take management fees, and that all goes into my marketing budget. And I think that anybody who doesn't look at that and that aspect is nuts. And
if you're over 20%, then you got to start looking at it. Now, if you're a new company, you're going to see your acquisition costs be higher. You're going to be spending 20, 30% your first year. I know when I first started my jet ski company, there was a lot of upfront costs just to get the word out and trying some new things. But you've been in business for 3-4 years, and you're not seeing your advertising cost percentage to your sales go down, then there's something that you might want to look into.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to paid advertising, I'm a huge proponent of paid. In fact, I prefer paid over organic. And not to say that we put a lot of effort into organic. We have content writers.
Yeah, you do.
We put a ton. But why we do, this year, why Trip Shock is one of the few OTAs that's doing well. Florida is doing great. That's the major part of it. But one of the big reasons, even prior to COVID, that we've done well is we spend a lot in paid. We put a lot of effort into paid. When Google redoes their algorithms and we lose ranking on some of our big keywords, even some keywords that were ranked number 1 and 2, we're still halfway down the page because you have the local business cards, you have the featured snippets, you have the ads. And by the time anyone gets down to the organic, it's almost, you're not getting, the 10, the 20% click through. You're getting 5% or less. There's some keywords that we are number 1 on Google, and we only have like a 6% click-through rate. We're number 1 because all that other crap is on top of it. The paid ads, the local business, the featured snippets. So we still put a lot of emphasis on organic. It's still roughly like 40% of our traffic. So it's a good bit of our business, but I like paid because it's something that I can control a little bit more.
Well, Google started rolling out some things in Europe where they've been experimenting with prioritizing paid for OTAs. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. And that'll be interesting when it comes here. But I like the fact that I like the fact that paid is that I can control it. I can control the bid. I can control the ad heck, if I want to be number 1, I can just keep paying. We don't do that, but I can control it. Where with organic, it's hard to control. Yeah, you can control it by writing good content and hiring a good SEO guy to make sure your keyword densities are good and you have good page weight and whatever. But that's the point that scares me, because every year I'm noticing organic is being bumped down in favor of other things.
So that leads me to another question for you. Where do you think the future? And I know it's easy to say that like Google's never going anywhere, but I think 25 years ago maybe, if you asked anybody if TV was going anywhere, I think that like TV, like advertise, like TV commercial, people would be like, what are you, nuts? Like, no. And I don't know if you ever watch, do you ever see kind of like like the hokiness of TV commercials and like advertising, or are you just like, do you ever see and go like, oh God, that's so bad? You know what I mean? Like, oh, it's terrible. How would anybody buy something from that company? Like, that's the worst thing I've ever seen, because it seems like the ads and everything on the internet is just so much easier. You know what I mean? Like, it just, you click, it's there. Like, there's like less buffer. You're like watching something on TV. It's not like you can be like, reach out and grab that thing and then like order it and have it be there. You have to like grab your phone, type in the website, or call the phone number. There's like another barrier to entry when you're watching something on television or listening to something on the radio or seeing like on the internet, it's right there. You know what I mean? You just click that button, the ad is there, it's direct, it speaks directly to you because it's targeting you. You know, it's obviously inbound marketing versus outbound marketing, which is, you know, so much more effective, and why so many larger companies are now starting to switch their budgets from a higher marketing budget and less on their sales.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was like 80-20 the other way, 80 in sales, 20 in
And another thing about paid ads that I like is that you can follow people around with remarketing. We do a lot of Facebook remarketing. We just started Snapchat.
I'm sorry, that was where I was getting to.
Yeah.
So my question is Google. So, and I've got my own theories about this, but where do you see like do you see like a shift happening in paid and moving more into social?
Well, I think just in general, I see a movement more into paid.
I mean, from Google to social. So like Google, where you would start like starting to having a higher budget. Like right now,
I agree 100%. Yeah. I mean, we've seen a lot more spend in social remarketing than we've ever had in the previous years. And if right now, I know it's not going to stay as cheap as it is, but like, for example, a remarketing click, like through the Google Display Network, is going to cost somewhere between, $1 to $1.50, where on Facebook we're seeing, 25 to 35 cents. Yep. So to get someone back to your site for that cheap is good. Again, back to the point why I love paid is because I can control it. I know the numbers, and if you're not tracking, I know it's hard. Some reservation systems don't track the actual value of the booking or conversion, we call it,
because you have to leave the site.
Yeah. That is key. Like, you need to, if you can find a way to actually get the value of your conversion and where it came from, they will tell you how much you're paying for that customer.
So what do you think about the booking software? And I don't really, unfortunately, I get a lot of the Pete Pro and Fair Harbor newsletters and stuff like that, but, and you tell me what your thoughts are, but I really see this future where there's got to start being some type of connectivity where YouTube and Facebook and Instagram are going to be, you should be able, or you will be able to book direct in an easier format, where like say it's like landing and sales pages where you can buy stuff like through like a .aws site, where you can buy like t-shirts like straight through Facebook. You can click on that link, go straight to your shopping cart, and you buy that product. I feel as though the booking platforms, and this is starting to get where I'm not 100%. I'm not a tech company, now but like creating like an API that connects to and measures, so you're not just using that as a remarket, but you're actually being able to book straight through Facebook.
I would like to say that I would love to see that, but when you're booking a t-shirt, it's a lot different than booking.
I agree.
So because I buy tangible things on impulse through social media.
Me too.
So
Ric Flair Hawaiian shirt.
I'd find it really hard for me to buy like a Disney ticket or a Disney or book a vacation.
It's done so wrong though, because it looks so scammy and that's just me. But I was feeling like you kind of feel the same way. It's like, book a trip now, and you're just kind of like, I don't know.
Well, there's a process, because buying a t-shirt, you know what it is. It's a t-shirt, small, medium, large. Bam, click it, book.
But Google Ads used to be the same way. No one clicked on Google Ads. It was always about organic. When it was all hidden over in the margin over there on the right hand side. Don't you remember when Google Ads used to be like that?
Well, yeah, and over the years they made it more mainstream, putting it in the top area and using the colors. But keep in mind though that before they didn't have smart algorithms to make sure that the ads were as relevant as they can be. People didn't click the ads, I think maybe because the color scheme, but also because the relevancy of the ads were very off.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I had a restaurant guide and we basically ran a lot of PPC ads and I could buy keywords that were not relevant for a few cents. And that just kills the quality of Google as a whole. But I believe now they got smart pricing, ad rank that controls the people. I mean, if you want to spend $20 a click, you can advertise on some random keyword, but eventually Google will filter those out. They want to create a good experience still, even if you're clicking on ads. And I don't think I've done a lot of searches and sometimes I'll click on the ads and for products and I'm pretty pleased with the ads that are there. Like there are things that I click on the ads all the time now because they're very relevant to my searches.
Yeah.
And because Google's done a really good job.
I click ads all the time. All my competition. I have like 7 different IP addresses. I'm like, click. No, I'm just kidding. Anybody who thinks that that's a good idea, there is a wonderful place in hell, like somewhere right next to Hitler. Obviously, Google ads, and even now, like people in our market aren't like they don't spend near, like they don't capture the traffic near what they could be by upping their ad spend. But so our ad spend we get great ROI on, but when my ads are off, like sometimes like if we're booked out 4 days in a row and it's a holiday weekend, I'm going to shut my ads off because it's just going to be people calling for the same thing over and over and over again. So I shut my ads off, but I mean we're still like crushing from our organic and we're still getting tons of phone calls. So in the beginning, when I finally hired an SEO manager to creating backlinks and stuff for us and doing our web dev, initially I was like, man, off season, I was kind of like, I don't know if I really want to like keep on spending that amount of money, like we're kind of like going to a slowdown. But I kind of thought, I was like, man, everybody, I think, thinks like that. I think everybody, like, if they are spending money on SEO or organic reach. And so I said, just put the pedal to the metal, like all year long. Let's see what happens. And then like this year, we just like even in the Destin market, man, like we captured like, and initially, like we thought that was going to be the hardest nut to crack just because of how dense the pack is, not even just a map pack, but in general, because there's so many businesses and such of the same business and such, I thought it was going to be really hard to crack, but everybody kind of lags in the off season. So the return on investment on that has just been, I can't even really tell you because it's hard to differentiate the organic, when you're looking at your Google Analytics, it's hard. Like, obviously you can see the breakdown from organic to paid, but then like the phone calls and like trying to like segment that when it's going over to Fair Harbor and you're looking at your conversions, that's where things kind of get muddled because like, was it a conversion, a paid conversion or an organic conversion? Because once it moves over into Fair Harbor has a difficult time differentiating the two. But just by going, well, here's my ad spend, here's our direct, like we've gone up, obviously in a couple episodes back, I talked about getting rid of TripAdvisor. We throttled you guys in July. You're back. But again, it was, I had to experiment. We had to experiment. We had to see like what an OT and what a Google ad free account looked like as well. Like, all right, what can we do with just, direct marketing, organic and SEO? Like how, like what, where can we really keep that going and keep that stream and those same kind of numbers going without OTAs, without Google ads, or at least a reduction? Because as you mentioned earlier, and something I wholeheartedly believe in, it's like you have to take those the higher price things and start whittling them away and adding the lower price things so you can get that marketing budget down to like a reasonable number. Mm-hmm. And then you have extra money to experiment with your different products and stuff like that. So I think that should be a game plan for everybody. As you said, when you first get started, 25, 30% on your marketing costs, and it's all going to commissions, OTAs and stuff like that. You're not really playing in that neighborhood, but you have to look at it in the same regard. So if I have a $100 product and I'm paying you $20 to sell it, I've got to figure out how to sell it, how I can sell it for 10, just so when we can meet in the middle at 15.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is, you start your business off, expect to have a larger percentage of your marketing budget eaten up just because you're trying new things. And it's normal. Like, don't think that if you have a partner in a business and he's like, oh man, why are we spending so much on marketing and advertising? Well, the first year, you got to build that into your budget. You got to just expect you're going to spend a little more because you don't have any repeat customers coming back. You're going to start getting those year 2 and year 3. And that's how you're going to start. Or if you have a very minimal budget, try to find things that are just going to give you the most bang for your buck. And I'll tell you, like, easy starts are Facebook ads and Google ads. It's the easy way, because what I love about Google ads is that you're getting people who know what they want. When you advertise in a magazine or anywhere else, these people do not know what they want. They're just they're interested in Destin. These are super high top funnel.
I didn't even know like people still did that. Like, I turn on like Hulu and it has commercials on, and I'm like, there's still commercials? Because I don't have like cable. Like, I went over to a friend's house for dinner and it was cable and it was like commercials, and I was why? People still, I mean, a lot of watersport guys, they do the coupon books, they do the paper stuff still. I mean, I'm not saying like to not do those things, but I mean, make it a small part of your budget. But I don't. Some of the ethics of some of those people, man. Like, I know. There's been some like wonky dudes and weird like deals that they wanted to cut to like be in their coupon book, and I'm like, oh, so you want me to sell my product for less and then give you some kind of weird like trade? Like, I had some dude like pitching me forever on some weird. He's like, we'll do it like 50% above par. And I'm like, what does that mean? Because we basically wanted to trade services, but he wanted 1.5 times the value of mine. Like, so. Yes,
I know that's pretty popular. They do there and here. A lot of guys say they don't want to do it because they don't want to pay cash. Well, that's just an alternative that they use by doing trade. But, what I like about paid ads is that it's intentional. You might pay a little bit more for it, but you know exactly what they want. Especially if you're doing a good job with your ads, you can serve them the products exactly what they're looking for.
Absolutely.
So as a first-time business, I highly recommend doing it because it's easy to get started. I recommend, if you don't know anything about it, to hire someone to help you. Don't just dive in because it was a trap door if you just dive in.
Absolutely.
And then Facebook ads is too. I mean, if you get a little advanced, you can do some remarketing or run some very targeted ads. Again, I recommend hiring somebody, an expert, to do it. But we haven't talked a lot about SEO. What are the pros and cons to SEO? And the reason why I don't talk much about it is because you can't control it. Just admit that we do have people on our staff at TripShack that just do SEO and just do blogging. It is important. It is time consuming, but it is very important. But it's a long game. You're not going to be Google ads. Tomorrow you can be, top of the page by paying, where it could take months. It could take years before you get the placement that you want.
When hiring somebody to do that, man, you've got to watch it, because you can be it depends on who you're going to through the source, because a lot of SEO guys, you'll find these people that are like, oh, I'll do your SEO, I'll do your pay-per-click, I'll do your social, I'll do everything for you. And then they bundle it all together. And I can't tell you how many people I talk to that I'm like, well, what's your ad spend? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, what are you spending for backlink creation? I don't know. What's a backlink? Oh boy, that's another conversation. All right. So you have no idea. You're just giving this person all this money. I mean, your budget's X amount a month. You're giving them $5,000 a month to do the whole kit and caboodle, but you don't know what that breakdown is, what they're charging for their services. Everybody that I work with, I know exactly what I'm getting. I know what my ad spend is. They go through my Google AdWords account. I could look at their whole process. Somebody asked, well, why can't, what if they just went through the whole process, was like on a sales form, but they're like, well, should I do this or should I go through theirs? Because what they just look at mine and then copy it. And I said, well, dude, look, man, most business owners don't want to do this shit. That's why they're paying somebody to do it. Like I've got, I got a couple businesses, but one of them's not PPC management. That's not, I'm interested in it, but I don't want to do it.
Another thing that I see a lot with operators is they switch their SEO person like every 6 months.
Yeah.
And you'll never have the success with your SEO if you keep switching the person who's running your SEO.
Well, because they didn't get them the top spot for every keyword for every product that they sell in 6 months. Like,
oh yeah, I've had those conversations. Oh, this guy, he hired him and he didn't do what he said, so we're going with the new person. Well, first of all, you got to have some blame. Anyone that comes and tells you they're going to get you number one, you should start looking the other way immediately. Yeah. Because promising something that now they could promise you number one unpaid, but to get a promise that you're going to be number one organically is total BS.
When I talked to a couple different agencies that pitch me, mostly because I like value, free information. So I'll just pump them full of stuff. Like, hey, what's this? What's that? What's this? What's that? But, it's really funny how many full service agencies they come right up. Hey, man, if you want to be at the top of the page, go with paid. Like immediately.
So if I hear that, I immediately know that this is a company that I want to at least have a conversation with. But anyone that says organically will give you number one, you run away. I mean, the response that I want to hear is like, we're going to look and we're going to do our best to get you as high as possible. That's our guarantee. If you're not happy with what we can give you in so many months, then you can find somebody else. Yeah. But that is the answer you need to be looking for.
And another piece of advice too is learn a little bit about SEO. Learn a little bit about organic. Learn a little bit about how pay-per-clicks work. Learn about it so you can have an informed conversation with somebody, because anybody can put together a spreadsheet or Microsoft Excel that's showing you that the money that you're giving them is going to, return your investment by X because of whatever. But at the end of the day, somebody that really like a technical SEO manager, operator that's really going to go in the ins and outs of you, and they're going to say, hey, I don't the Google Data Studio. I got a guy that really does it. It's pretty cheap. I never, this is my SEO manager's exact conversation when we were talking about Supermetrics. And he was like, that's not my thing. It's not, but I do know a guy that works with Supermetrics. And it's like, I normally never tell clients to pay for extra products, but it's literally, you would just sign up with Supermetrics. I don't get anything. I'm not asking you I'm not like an affiliate of Supermetrics. You just call them up and get it clicked. And then one of my associates will handle that account for you, but at no additional cost. And we talk about what he's doing, so you got to be able to have this conversation with somebody and say, like, especially, I had my first site was on Wix, and he was like, I want to put your site on WordPress. And it's like, I know your site's already built and I'm sure you like it and you did it yourself and it looks great, but it's just like WordPress is the gold standard. And then they have plugins that you can't get through Wix. And for SEO, you just want to have your site over on WordPress. He's like, I will do it for as cheaply as possible. I hate trying to sell people other products, but you want to move your site out. And I was like, cool. And when he designed it and it came up, at first I didn't like it because it was real text heavy. I don't like real text heavy websites, but at the same point in time, if you want to rank for those keywords, you have to be keyword rich.
So we got a couple more minutes, and I just want to have finish my thought on organic.
Yeah.
The organic is your long game, but it shouldn't be something that you put a lot of emphasis on. Everyone says, and this is just my opinion on it, because I've had so many different websites that I tried way too hard on the organic and didn't make much ground. If I would have just had a steady, process, wrote some blogs and let it do its work. I mean, a lot of the times if you just are ethical about how you build your site, build it the way Google tells you. I mean, they put all the guides out there, how to build a site to rank. Hire somebody, but it should always be your long game. But if you're looking for results, especially if you're new, you got to do paid, and you can control your budget a little bit better. So that's kind of my final thought. I'm a big paid ads guy. That's how I really have built TripShock, but I did invest in the long game of SEO, and 10 years now, we rank heavily for a lot of high quality keywords because we played the long game, and we didn't invest a lot of time, but we put enough in to where we can reap the reward. It just took time and a lot of effort. So
I want to expound just a little bit. So I completely agree with you, but building that long game, why it's so strong, and both of them, I actually put emphasis on both, because when and then you obviously find your key. We found a couple real strong keywords that we just went heavy in, and we saw the return on them. So you have to find like the best keywords that work for you, the ones that are going to return the best investment, both organic and paid. But when you work both and you work that long game and you finally get to that level where when somebody hits that keyword that's making you the most, that's getting the most bang for your buck, now you're at the top with paid, which is an art unto itself. I mean, Google does not look at all ads the same. So you're at the top, at least you should be, with paid. And then you're going to go down into your map pack results, and you're going to be in the top 3 and that coveted 3 spot in there. And then you're going to be at the top in organic. So if somebody's doing due diligence and you do have an informed customer, you're hitting them on every single front. They 3/4 of the way down Google, and you've got them. You got the ad, you got the map pack, you got the top text organic, and even if it's not the top or in the top 3 or 4, but your competitors aren't hitting every single front, and you are, even if they're number 1 in the map, but you're number 3 in the map, they're number 1 in organic, you're number 2 in organic, but you're number 1 on the ads, you're fucking crushing them because they can't get away from you, and then retargeting them through social. There's
one search term where we're number 1 in the ads, and then we probably have like 6 organic spots. And then the ones that we don't have, there are affiliates of ours. So they'll get to TripShock one way or another. And, that's one thing that you can, you can cheat.
Crab Island?
No, it's not my Crab Island. There's one way though that you can really cheat a little bit by doing a Google search for a keyword that you want to rank high, looking at all the organic results and forming a partnership with those organic results. That's the easy way to kind of piggyback off that. That's how we get a lot of people joining TripShock, is that they'll do a search, they'll see us number 1, number 2, and they're like, oh, I can work with these guys, to get on there. So a great segue into why to work with an OTA. Well, that's one big reason. I mean, you can jump, instead of spending all that time, this is turnkey. You can get on this OTA. You only got to pay. You know that they're getting traffic for the keywords that you want to sell to. So perfect way. But there's also like just regular directory sites or vacation rental property manager sites. They'll put you on there probably for free, or you give them a free ride on a ski or something. But, look at those organic results and see how you can piggyback off of any one of those sites.
Yep.
As long as they're not your competitor, I guess.
Yep. So it's not really verse as we led you to believe. It's both. You have to do both. And yes, it costs money, but I'll tell you what, there's a couple things I'm proud of in this world. And one is my marketing skills. And if you go down to my docs today, where there's 3 competitors of mine that we all share the doc space, I know that 2 of them are completely still stocked up, meaning all their boats are still there. And the other one's got about half. He's a beast. He's got other locations where he's probably completely sold out. I'm not going to talk shit on him, but we're racked out. Like, you're not going to get a boat from me. And I'll tell you, it's not because of anything other than, I mean, we're the fucking best, but no, I'm just kidding. But it's because I go hard in the paint on marketing, and I always stay ahead, and I spend that money, and I get my boats going, and those people, as long as we do what we're supposed to do, is show them a good time, provide fucking awesome customer service. Our message gets out there that says, hey, you're going to have an amazing time. We show them amazing time. They come back, and then that reduces our cost year over year.
And one thing I noticed about your business and a lot of other businesses in particular is that you are not afraid to spend money.
I love it.
You're not afraid to spend it. A lot of guys are deathly afraid. They're deathly afraid paying commissions. They're deathly afraid of paying $2 a click for a pontoon keyword. Yeah. They're deathly afraid of making an investment into a coupon book, whatever, but they're just afraid to spend money. They feel like this is just too expensive. Everything's just too expensive, but you got to get over that. Don't be afraid to spend money. That's right. Be afraid of spending more than what you expect to make.
And and I'll tell you the difference. And it's like, I look at guys like Jason and yeah, man, that's why he's got 3 locations, because he's not scared to spend money. So that's the other guy that I'm not gonna try to piss that dude off, because he can crush me like a bug. But yeah, Jason's Extreme H2O. They got awesome marketing. They have their website's awesome. He's not afraid to spend money. His boats look good.
And it's not that. The thing is he's not afraid to spend money, but he's also totally aware of where his break evens are. That's and right. Where his profit margins are. Because he's not afraid, because he knows he's making money. Yeah. He knows that it's worth paying the commission. He knows it's worth paying, having a large budget on Google Ads, because he knows. It goes back to that first thing we said.
Boats sitting in the slip don't make money. Boats out there, boats on the water make money. That's right.
Yeah. So that's my biggest take. I guess my final thought is know your acquisition costs. Know how much you have to spend on marketing, and don't let the fear of paying a high commission or spending a lot of money on a click scare you from making the investments you need to make.
Yeah. My final thought is going to be, as much as you are a boat captain or a jet ski rental or a dolphin cruise operator, you are more so, or at least you should be, a marketer of those products. That's it. Sell them. I mean, that's it, man. You can be the best dolphin guide or jet ski renter or whatever in the world. But if you don't sell it, then who in the hell is going to know? If you don't sell it and you got nobody to show that to, you got empty seats, no one's ever going to know. Fill the seats.
All right. Well, that concludes episode 7.
Lucky 7.
Thanks for joining us.
Word.
You've been listening to the Awkward Watersport Guys podcast. If you're in the water sport industry, this is the podcast that brings the business perspective to parasailing, jet and ski boat rentals, sailing, snorkeling, and everything else. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show. Be sure to sign up to our email list at watersportpodcast.com and subscribe in your favorite podcast app. We'll see you next time, and thanks for listening.